Hello there, and welcome to what may very well be the final part of Shadow the Hedgehog Reloaded, or at least of the normal gameplay. You can just call me Stent. Last time, we mostly cleared up some of the story modes with regards to Eggman, but with all the stuff we've gone through with previous streams, that means we only have one ending left to get to before finally we get to the last story. So without any further ado, here's where it stands. Still haven't gone to Lost Impact at all. I'm hoping that we won't have to in order to unlock expert mode, which will be next week, but in any case that'll probably be something that I unlock in the in my off time. Look at those cool little fire gifts. Alright, let's get in. With this, I suppose, for lack of any other better word to pad out time, I'll just be playing the cutscenes again instead of skipping over all of them. Of course you do, PC. It's good to see you regardless.
Shadow the Hedgehog. Why does that name haunt me?
I don't think much can really be said at this point as to how good these cutscenes look. I've already made my thoughts about that known. Honestly, if the whole series as a whole ended up going with an art style like this, I wouldn't exactly mind, though. Given Frontiers, I know that a lot of people would be more willing, at least on the Western Front, to be more in favor of more classic aesthetics, as opposed to the dreary misery that was the Starfall Islands. I know allegedly the Japanese side isn't exactly as picky about these sort of things. We over here are more sort of concerned about the iconography of the series, I suppose, since we are more long-term fans. As I imagine a fair few of the Japanese fans are more, let's say, casual about these sort of things. More aware, especially of in the 2000s, the more chaotic throw Sonic into anything nature that
Just what was that all about?
was very prominent at the time. Especially with this new announcement of let me just bring up the name of it, I already forgotten. Sonic Toy Battle, I believe it was. Has the same logo as Toy Story, weirdly enough, which I have my thoughts about that, especially Toy Story, but from what I've seen, aside from the fact that we're getting music from Sonic 4 and levels from Lost World, it seems harmless enough. I may check it out just as a passing thing, maybe do a single stream on it, but generally those sorts of games have never exactly been my, my cup of tea. Go away, Sonic. Yeah, for the path I've set out for this one, we're going to be going the neutral route again, which thankfully means this will be the second to last time we ever see Westopolis. Not a moment too soon. I know that I could potentially just shoot all the aliens here to try to build up my good meter, but I just want to get through this. Get out of here, Black Doom. I was gonna say, can I actually spin dash across this, but seems I missed my chance. Can I spin dash across this? Yes, I can. We're just going out all about this exactly the same way as I've done previously. What's weird is that we've never actually heard much about Westopolis at all after this game. It just sort of a city that was just created for this game, much like the city of City in Forces, which I'm not sure if I'm ever going to stream that. I mean, I'd certainly prefer the aesthetic of this game over Forces with its Minecraft trees. I will say, for Shadow, it is at the very least fitting. There is some cartoony stuff here, so it's not as big a juxtaposition as, say, Donald Duck in Pirates of the Caribbean. Is that sort of the one that I always draw my mind to when it comes to art style juxtapositions? There we go. Let's see if I get anything above a C or an E. Whichever one comes first.
Once I find all of the emeralds, then I'll find the truth.
In any case, I'm hoping that you've all been having a pleasant day so far. It's been fairly pleasant. Oh, B rank. Nice. Yeah, it's been fairly pleasant for me. Albeit quiet, sleepy. We started work on the allotment out back, just getting stuff ready to plant, stuff like potatoes and onions and the like. I do kind of want to get to a point where I'm actively able to help actually maintain it in good order.
And every city is reporting significant damage and casualties. Among them, Westopolis has received the heaviest casualties.
Yeah, I do definitely see the what you're getting at with the art style. It's certainly distinct, and even if the concept of this game is by its very nature ridiculous, it's, I will admit, for what it tries to do visual-wise, it does at least make it work. Obviously, there's levels in this game which I have personal preferences for, mainly the Ark levels and the Eggman levels, but generally speaking, it's... I suppose for the most part it has its own identity, which is more that can be said for some other games in this series.
No one tells me what to do. I have my own reasons for collecting the chaos.
I suppose speaking of games which sort of lack in the identity area, I'm still kind of baffled that they decided to bring in Silent Forest and Lava Mountain from Lost World for Toy Battle. I mean, I guess it's sort of generic, sort of varied level themes, I guess it sort of makes sense, but let's just say in terms of foresty levels, I would have preferred at the very least Lava Shelter over Lava Mountain, because the less I have to hear about Lost World in my vicinity, the better, honestly. If you couldn't probably tell, Lost World is a game which I have very, very negative feelings for. I mean, as a game, gameplay-wise, it's fine for what it is, but everything else about it, from concept to writing to... basically that whole game's identity is something which I was never really for, and running especially, I'm fairly certain I've already mentioned this before, but Lost World, especially teamed with the news that Rise of Lyric was as bad as it was, really almost made me give up on this series. Oh yeah, you can also skip that loop. Probably wasn't worth it. So for this route, we're going to be going the dark route, so we get to kill army men in this very clearly desert-themed area. I can't help but wonder whether or not that was intentional, given obviously what was going on at the time with various conflicts in the Middle East. I'm guessing in all likelihood it wasn't. It's just, that's what comes to mind, at least for me. Also, yeah, you can just jump a few of these loops, which obviously didn't mean to do that. It's one thing I've noticed a fair bit with regards to, especially these earlier 3D games, the fact that you can just... obviously the camera doesn't like it, but yeah, you could just jump a bunch of these loops. sort of informing the fact that these are in fact no longer, I suppose speed gates would be the best choice of word. You know, rewarding high speed with more high speed. Instead just being big set-piece parts, which I really do hope, especially after all the updates to Frontiers, they do end up giving more of an emphasis on physics, since... I mean, especially with some of the fan games that I've played a little bit. I played a little bit of Sonic Utopia, and that whole thing really sort of informs what I feel Frontier should play like in terms of its open zone gameplay. Just honestly making it one big skate park with full of slopes and ramps that you can zoom down and launch off of. I could see the open zone gameplay being quite a lot of fun in that respect. Also, I never got to showcase the Vault Worm section in this level. That'll probably have to be something that I showcase at the end of the stream, if at all. You know, if we have time, I'll show it off.
Our temple is not what it appears. Soon the time will come when it
But I suppose, going back to Toy Battle and its, more specifically Toy Story with how its logo looks. It is surreal, because I remember as a kid, one of my most formative memories was I really used to like Toy Story, at least the first two movies. Like, I used to really enjoy the first movie. Oh. Do I think Shadow should have weapons in future iterations? Mostly for fan service, since honestly, with the powers that Shadow has showcased in the comics and the anime and such, I don't think he really needs them. I mean, sure, we can have other characters which use weapons, like obviously Amy and Fang come to mind, with squeaky mallets and pop guns. But honestly, especially given the Archie series, where he literally makes a spear made out of chaos energy, I kind of want to see him do that in the game. But yeah. Well, I get that it would be cool for Shadow to wield weapons again. I don't think, given his skill set, that he strictly needs to. But again, I could also see sort of a Yakuza situation where he just
Now, let's see what really
sort of has improvised weapons, like beating up an Eggman robot with a chair. That could be fun. It really does feel like I'm going for sort of like a grand tour of such for all the popular levels, which I've gone from the dreaded. We're doing Glyphic Canyon again, now we're going to go to Cryptic Castle again, see the Benui. We're going to go to Sky Troops. Yeah, I'm going to spoil that. We're going to Sky Troops. But yeah, Toy Story, it's one of my most formative memories as a kid, watching the first movie a bunch, and then the second movie came out and I really loved that, and obviously looking back at it now, it's a lot of the things it tries to portray about the nature of preserving toys versus the toys perspective on that, where they're sort of denied their purpose as they see it. It was quite poignant, and I always found it weird going back and realizing that Stinky Pete not only prophesized plot points from Toy Story 3 with Andy going to college and you know, them being ruined and forgotten, spending an eternity rotting in some landfill, which were all plot points from Toy Story 3, but given the fact that he is also a toy who was sort of left to rot in a dime store, in a dime store or a dollar store, he ended up accidentally prophesizing most Disney toys nowadays, which is kind of sad but also kind of hilarious. Like, I'm fairly certain if you go out to most bargain outlets nowadays, you can probably still find, like, figures of Rose Tico, Admiral Holdo, whatever recent Marvel product has come out. It's honestly kind of sad, really.
Must have gone this way.
What else? Whatever. Another thing that was certainly sad for me is, back when Toy Story 4 was announced, I was one of, in all likelihood, many people who just saw Toy Story 4 being announced and who just thought, why? The story finished perfectly with Toy Story 3. You don't have to do it anymore. I mean, I suppose if they had to make a Toy Story 4, they could have honestly made a new trilogy with just, like, a new set of toys, because as far as I'm aware, the stories of, like, Woody, Buzz, Ham, Rex, Jessie, Slinky, etc. were all basically... Yeah, they were all basically had their story concluded in Toy Story 3, so they could have just had the fourth movie set up a new cast of characters, and then the fifth movie could have been perhaps some commentary on both kids not playing with toys as much anymore in favor of smartphones and video games and TikToks, and again, commentary on how toys are just left to rot on shelves of mostly ruined IPs. Here's looking at you, Star Wars. Which, that one really is a sad case, isn't it? Anyway, you mentioned Fang, which I'm still to this day gonna call him Fang the Sniper. That's what I grew up with, and that's how I'm gonna call him. It's Fang the Sniper. Or, you know, Knack the Weasel, but Fang the Sniper just sounds cooler. But speaking of which, BZ, did you ever play Sonic the Fighters? I know Fang was in that game alongside his hooligan teammate, Bean and Bark, which I do find it kind of funny that they just ended up being grouped together as just a never collective unit, because they just happen to both be in a single game together. I mean, I would definitely like to see them again, although given the classic and modern split, which means we can't have classic characters in modern games and modern characters in classic games, like the whole Shadow onesie thing in Superstars annoyed me especially, because this sort of emphasized this whole point about the whole brand being splintered between these two different versions of the character, which... yeah, I have fond memories of Sonic the Fighters, even though I wasn't particularly good at it. As you could probably tell, fighting games are not exactly my forte, but... I do at the very least remember all the, you know, funny, goofy animations and remembering how fun they were. It was kind of interesting going back and looking more into fighters and seeing how the competitive side of it ended up developing, which granted wasn't much, but there was at least a little bit of a competitive scene. And from what I could tell from that, the best characters were Knuckles and, when he was legal, Eggman. Because, like, his front jab was, for lack of a better word, kind of broken. And meanwhile, Knuckles was just generally good at all the things. Alright. Look at that, I could just scooch forward while standing still. It's good. Yeah, that's Cryptic Castle over with. I will admit I didn't play much of the Xbox 360 version. I know that apparently the Gems Collection had a fair bit of... the Gems Collection version had a little bit of input lag, which probably didn't help. Still was quite entertaining to just play with against a friend and just have a couple of laughs. I can kind of see them actually going back to that sort of more cartoony style if Superstars is anything to go by, which...
What are you doing here, Shadow?
Doctor.
Superstars may have inspired a potential video idea out of me, but I'm gonna have to think about
Secret to my
Enough of this nonsense.
how I want to format it and how to edit.
No one gets in my way. Those who do
And I'm sure it's
so stand clear or I will. Just as
I'm sure it's easier than I'm thinking it out to be. Really the biggest thing I'm worried about is I've never exactly been the biggest fan of the sound of my own voice, which, given my design, you probably aren't either. Cheap shot. But yeah, I did have a small idea. Hopefully something comes of it. And I don't just forget, which the rest of the Stent family seems to be prone to do, I've noticed. I tend to have a habit of just forgetting things when we probably shouldn't. So yeah, unfortunately, this time around we're not going to hear Eggman say the more the merrier, but I think I've heard it enough to last me a lifetime. I'm surprised that that particular voice line hasn't become sort of one of the more
Sorry, Doctor, but that
appropriated
chaos
Sonic
is mine.
memes from the official social media side. You think it would? Well, I'm glad you think that. It's just... Generally speaking, I know that there's a fair few people out there who don't like hearing their own voice, myself included.
They're destroying everything. How can I take over the city and build the Eggman Empire?
If there is no city!
I'm at my limit. I have no choice. Send in the Eggman fleet. Charge!
It's so weird, see, figuring how Mike Pollock has just been playing this role for so long. I mean, obviously, in Frontiers is a lot more subdued and
No one expected this
feels,
fly.
admittedly, a little less threatening, but I'm not sure whether or not that's to do with Mike's portrayal or just the writing. Making Eggman out to be just this, clown villain, which I still think, especially given the supposed Sonic guidelines about humans not being allowed to appear, which... That's certainly going to be interesting when Shadow Generations comes out, but yeah. I figure that if they were to properly abide by the whole no humans in Sonic rule, I'm kind of surprised they still let Eggman persist in the games. If anything, I feel that Forces would have probably been the best time, if any, to just finally retire the character. I know that it would probably be a big risky move, considering how important Eggman is to the long-term iconography of the series, since he's been here since the beginning, but
Blue sky, staring
in terms of villain, I'd definitely say still that sort of villain-wise, he certainly peaked in Forces, given he finally took over the world and still lost. Yeah, you can probably get that sense, though. I suppose it's one of those things where we can only just sort of wait and see if anything major changes compared to the 2010s. I didn't notice you could just destroy the guns on these. Yeah, but with regards to the meta thinking, I still think, especially with a lot of the Twitter takeovers, that there's still sort of corporate feel to a lot of the more modern games. I'm probably thinking more in terms of simply for mobile games, where it's super safe, super not rocking the boat in any way, just here to market. So here we still have Green Hill and Chemical Plant in Sonic Toy Battle, even though everyone and their auntie has said they're sick and tired of seeing them. Personally, I am as well to an extent, but at this point I've sort of accepted them as part of the series' iconography and sort of expect them to show up from time to time. I'm more so of the opinion that, you know, it's fine to go back to all these old areas and such, but I'd rather we just saw something wholly new for the next game. You know, no sort of returning Dreamcast areas, like no Prison Island, no City Escape, no Station Square, no Grand Metropolis. Just give us something new, which people can get nostalgic over. I suppose that's my biggest thing, really. It's like, over the course of like 20 years, they've really been cashing in what I can best describe as sort of nostalgia receipts, where they're sort of blowing them all on each successive game to try and boost sales to the point where after a while they sort of expend them all, and especially Green Hill and Chemical Plant aren't exactly nostalgic anymore considering how prevalent they are. So I'm of the opinion that they should make new stuff which people can get nostalgic over, which they can cash in at a later date. Honestly, it seems like common sense to me. I mean, granted, the Ark isn't an area which we haven't really seen prominently since, well, this game and Generations to a lesser extent. Aside from that, the Ark has basically been sort of untouched, which I suppose it would be interesting to go back there if the plot demanded it, if they had a good plot involving the Ark. Considering from what I remember, the Ark, according to what Shadow said in Adventure 2, was supposed to house like multiple weapons of mass destruction. The Eclipse cannon, if anything, was mostly just sort of the crown jewel of all those WMDs, given its ability to destroy an entire planet. So considering it may still house other weapons of mass destruction, maybe you could look into more of those. Maybe something to do with the artificial chaos, which have just sort of been left to run rampant on the Ark since this game. And I do get it's a cool area, but well, I wouldn't mind seeing it again. I'd be, you know, I want to see more cool areas. With regards to how it would fit into the lore, I get that trying and fit anything into Sonic lore is, at this point, is sort of a Sisyphean task, but with the whole lore team, with Ian and such, seeming more like damage control rather than actually trying to be like these arbiters of lore, as some might make them out to be. Given they're not 100% at the very least in creative control of the series, it's still, I'm pretty sure, falls to the Japanese side. Oh yeah, we can also pilot the Volt Worm here. So at least we get a little bit of action with it. Pew 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 pew. Still have no idea what the unlock requisites were for that, but I'm glad we got it regardless. Keep forgetting we could just speed up. So yeah. No, I don't want to be targeting the jewel. There we go. Open up. Kind of a shame, but I still thought that was pretty cool. Alright. I will admit, Black Doom does at least have some taste, considering he calls this thing hideous. It would be interesting, actually, if we were to try and,
Well done, Shadow.
That was pretty violent. It would be interesting if we were actually to try to,
I have no
make the whole Sonic lore fit, because I do have some ideas, but most of it would just be involving sort of ripping up this chaotic, cluttered tapestry to try and create just a small, coherent image. Pretty sure I have, like, 3 potential timelines so far. Not sure if I should mention them here. Oh, hey, we got to hear this, incredibly forced line again.
Sir, your transport is ready. We must go now. Sir, please.
Once again, I have failed my duty to protect our...
Yes, I failed to protect the nation by not doing anything as Eggman fought the Black Arms.
May have rendered us unable for now, but we will rally, sir.
I haven't read Shadowfall, I have heard the name in passing.
Yes. Keep the nation united.
Along with certain various other ones. I know at some point there was a story where Shadow and Knuckles actually fought, which it's kind of weird that they never have outside of that one episode of Sonic X.
Okay.
I did find it pretty cool, actually, the little detail, at least in the Japanese version, where Knuckles was so strong to the point where Shadow actually had to take off his inhibitor rings to beat him. I thought that was a pretty good detail. It's like, it actually gives credit to Knuckles. He's actually, since he's supposed to be as strong as Sonic is fast. These next 2 levels, I think we can just zoom through without too much issue. Since it is just head to the goal ring. Bye, Tails, bye, Tails. I just noticed, actually, it's kind of weird that the aliens just sort of jump out from here, and air pressure doesn't suck us out or anything. Also, those are some comedically large gun towers on this thing. How big are these frigates? And I get that you're not really supposed to think too hard about the setting here, it's just, we have like these Halo-esque frigates. Like, I'm fairly certain these at least have the same silhouettes as stuff like the Forward Unto Dawn. I suppose it's one of those things where I kind of wish that they get more time to interact. I suppose you could argue comics, but I'd still reckon that the comics are on borrowed time myself. We're just gonna leave the president alone. We're just gonna zoom right through here, try to... You know what, let's take the mech. I find it kind of funny that they try to bring this in as well. It's like, hey, remember Adventure 2? Here we have Tails' Cyclone at home. Kinda sucks that the fire rate on this thing isn't as good. Hold on, can I actually make it up there? This may be a mistake. Let's... Nope.
Not here.
No, let's take the car. I don't think this is quite as fast as, it is a little... Let me rephrase. It is a little bit faster compared to vanilla. How exactly are you supposed to get to that? I can't help but wonder. Alright, we'll just ditch the walker for the time being. It was nice knowing you. Yeah, it will be interesting with Shadow Generations especially, because For the longest time, humans, aside from Eggman and I guess Sage, even though she's not really a human, but a human-like AI, so I guess semantics. It would be interesting to see how exactly they retell Shadow's story in Generations without any sort of mention of Maria, because obviously human characters are quite a prevalent point of Shadow's story. You know, we got Professor Gerald, we got Maria, we got Olive Garden guy, etc. Can I actually make it across here? Ow. I cheated you and I didn't even notice. Yeah, I can't get enough of this sword, man. Oh yeah, I almost forgot about that, to be honest. They did mention Maria in Frontiers, so... Whoa, Nelly! I didn't expect to actually make it that far, okay.
Not here.
I could have sworn I pressed jump, but I didn't jump. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to go the long way now, since I don't have enough rings. What are you talking about, Shadow? This isn't jump dashing. Okay, that's jump dashing. Let's try this again, Penfold. Oh, I already got it. Okay, never mind. Suppose it is nice that they allow you to keep the red rings after death, unlike Frontiers. Suppose thinking more back to the lore, it's the reason I still harp on about potential timelines and such, because I know people are more sort of accepting of the self-contained nature of a lot of the games and how it's impossible to make it all make 100% sense, but the way people sort of, I guess, convey it, it's more of the mindset of don't ask questions, just consume product and get excited for next product, which, if stuff like Star Wars has been any indication, is that's a mentality which I have no intention of supporting, so... I mean, granted, there are ways around that, I suppose. Sure, you can poke fun at how the lore doesn't make any sense and all the like, but... Break. There we go. It can be of the mindset that you don't have to just consume product. Sure, you can just enjoy it for what it is, but if it doesn't look good, you don't have to buy it. You can just get the games that you think look good and you enjoy, and just enjoy those. Like, I suppose in that sense, going off of looking for good stories, I did recently download on Steam some Final Fantasy games, mostly 6, 7, since I heard those were the main good ones, and Stranger of Paradise, because I wanted to sort of embrace the meme on that a little bit. I figured you'd be a fan of Stranger of Paradise. Okay, this is gonna be awkward. Hey, Mr. President, please, can you not have your... Okay, so there is a way around this. Just gotta... Just gotta move and shoot. It's so bizarre that this still gets like infinite ammo as long as you don't hit anything with it. Ow. Oh hey, I made it. Okay, is the game gonna work again? Yes, it is.
Chaos emeralds held by gun. I'm going to find the
truth for myself.
Alright, it's definitely been a while since I've been to Black Comet, so this should be interesting. Oh yeah, we get to see the funny cutscene again, I just remembered.
This makes 5 chaos.
Yes, count them 5. Hey Shadow, we're back in the 4x3 dimension again. How have you been? You seen Zack Snyder's newest movie, Rebel Moon?
Okay, 2 more and then the truth about my past will be revealed.
What anime do you see Shadow fitting in the most? I suppose there are a fair few which come to mind. Ghost in the Shell is sort of one which immediately comes to mind. Maybe Akira?
And exterminate them.
The Black Comet?
I mean, obviously most people would just say Kill or Kill, but given what that anime does, I'm gonna say no. I mean, I know the meme is it's Shadow's favorite, but it's not the one he'd necessarily be in, if that makes any sense. Oh boy, here again. Not gonna just do anything major this time around, we're just gonna head to the goal ring. I'm guessing I do have to just shoot you. And you? Don't come at me with that. Alright, this is gonna be a little bit awkward. Oh hey! You can just use the rockets. Wait, is this? Yeah, the 8 rocket one, the best one. I think we're gonna forego the katana for the time being and just... Oh, there we go. Yeah, we're gonna forego the katana for the time being and just let loose with these rockets. I do definitely appreciate the detail that in terms of gun enemies in this level, you don't see any humans, just robots. Yeah, admittedly, in terms of, Oh, hey, Knuckles. Bye, Knuckles. Does that count as vernacular manslaughter if Knuckles is not human? Would that count as vernacular manslaughter or roadkill? Only the most pertinent, important questions here on this particular stream. So I'm gonna say that is a pretty nice little view there. Sort of reminds me of High Charity. But yeah, in terms of music, I will admit, whilst I do quite like the more subdued tone of this level, it was admittedly one of the more forgettable tracks for me, at least compared to Lava Shelter, Final Haunt, even Lost Impact for its more somber tone. It's gonna be interesting once we finally get to that, if I don't have to play it again, play through it in order to get to expert mode. Also, yeah, it's definitely kind of weird that Knuckles, of all people, would be here leading the charge against the Ark. Leading all these robots. I suppose you have to have Knuckles show up in various levels, though. I mean, I guess Glyphic Canyon does sort of make sense, but in terms of a lot of the other levels, it's kind of weird. I mean, I get lore-wise, it's more so Sonic Team deciding that Knuckles just happens to not be guarding Angel Island and leading the charge with Gun, even though Sonic and his friends should kind of hate Gun, especially after the events of Adventure 2, but I guess apparently it's only sometimes that they hate Gun, and other times they're big fans of him. There's no rules. There we go. I do kind of want to lay my hands on the gat again. Give me the gat one last time. Give me the gat. Yes, 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 yes. Get to play around one more time with this ridiculous gun. Obviously, I don't want to blow up too many mechs, but I do at least want to get enough for the gat. Yeah, it's definitely kind of weird. This whole game has a whole bunch of partnerings with Shadow, which you normally wouldn't really think about. I mean, obviously, Shadow worked with the Chaotix at least for a bit, I think, in Sonic X. Like, well, more specifically, he crashed his house into a Metarex ship. I remember that, at least.
That black slab that's moving up and down should stop for a moment.
What am I thinking? I could just shoot these mines.
Hey, it looks like you can grind on that.
Yeah, I wouldn't entirely be against more unconventional character interactions, just sort of to throw off a little bit the sort of compartmentalization mentality that Heroes threw up, where all the characters just sort of interact with each other in like sets, in like different little boxes. Like obviously you got Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, you got Amy, Cream, and Big, and maybe Trip, if we ever get Modern Trip. Obviously we got the Chaotix in their own little bubble, we got Team Dark. Yeah, I wouldn't be too shy. I'd be fine with Vector basically interacting with anyone else. Honestly, just more Vector. I want to see more Vector. At this point, he's basically the most relatable character for me. It's one of those weird things when you think about it. When you're a kid, you always relate to sort of the cool characters like Tail, like Sonic or Knuckles. And as you get older, you start to relate more to some of the, I suppose, more human characters like Vector. You know, he's an aspiring detective trying to make rent, and he, I suppose I may as well say, he has the best taste in women in the entire series. Yeah, that certainly was a weird comment, thinking back to it. They did mention Styx in Frontiers. It's just one of those things, really, along with the rest of the of Frontiers, actually, which just brings up a whole bunch of question marks about where exactly all these characters are and where they've been.
Behold the ultimate power. There it is.
There we go.
Chaos Emerald that those black creatures stole.
I mean, I suppose in terms of the modern Team Rose, I can see why people would say Styx, but honestly, I feel that if we were really going that route, I feel Trip would honestly make more sense, given her supposed skill set as established by Superstars, and the fact that she can turn into a Doggin. Alright, it's time to face off against Eggman, Eggface, Egg Poopy Poopy Butts.
Shadow.
Doctor?
I'm here for some reason now!
Chaos Emeralds to me, like a good boy. You were unleashed to find the emerald.
This whole setup for me is sort of undeniable proof that this whole game should have just had 3 paths instead of like 10. Because you're gonna have all the you have all these situations which Sort of like the character fights in Heroes where you're really struggling to try and justify why we're fighting at this point.
You'll just have to deal with my finest creation. What in the world is that thing? Get ready for a real...
Alright, let's rock. Shadow Fever right off the bat, huh? I keep forgetting how much damage that does. Like, I'm more so used to just using Chaos Blast for the infinite ammo, considering how good that is. Get back here, I'm not done with you yet.
It looks like
Doink. Doink. I will admit this boss fight was always fun for me, it's just... The Egg Breaker seems more like a proper final boss to me, considering... You can't help but wonder why Eggman would ever make this. I suppose, if anything, it does sort of remind me of his, like, slot machine in Sonic X, where he chose his Monster of the Week. That could have been potentially kind of cool, actually, where he has the slot machine and he uses it to summon like a bunch of mini-bosses for you to fight. So like a cross between this and Robot Carnival from Heroes. That could potentially be kind of cool. Anyways, it's over now. And you get to hear this wonderful noise one last time.
Never show your face around me again.
Yay!
Perfect.
Yeah, I could definitely see the satisfaction in that particular mechanic of the boss. It's just...
Finally, I've got
More
all
so
the
for
Chaos
gameplay-wise, it's fun. Sort of logic-wise, given he's supposed to have an IQ of 300,
Hedgehog.
it makes no sense why he builds such a thing
No one can tell me
that
what
can
to do.
easily just be
This
made
is
to
who I
destroy
am.
itself.
What?
Goodbye, Doctor.
In that respect, I'd still say the Egg Breaker is a more fitting final boss, and at the very least logic-wise. We also get to hear this track one more time. I'll let it play this time, since I know it's a lot of people's favorites. I still quite like it too, honestly. It's one of those ones where I can still listen to it on sort of you know, it's a dark, rainy night and in sort of a moody place. It's a good song to brood to. I'll just put it that way. It's a good song to brood to. I will admit, these sort of unused tracks do sort of lend themselves to a more... I don't want to say grimdark interpretation of Shadow, but something that's a bit... at the very least more mature and a bit more depressing than what we got in the final game. And I can't help but kind of want to at the very least see that version of Shadow. Maybe I kind of want to say that may have been a direction that Shiro Maikawa would have gone if he had any involvement in this game, which I definitely think he should have. It's like, honestly, that still boggles my mind a little bit. You got the creative Shadow still working at Sonic Team, and he has little to no involvement in this game. Actually, I'm gonna take receipts on that. I want to be right about this. Because I know that he famously said that he considered Shadow like his baby. Yeah, according to the wiki, he had basic... Okay, developmental support on Shadow, okay. I always found it weird going back to the wiki and seeing that apparently Maikawa's favorite character was Charlemagne. Considering how seemingly annoying he's perceived by the rest of the fan base, though. He did also write the dialogue they had in Heroes, which is arguably where they were at their best. Mewtwo and Spawn. I definitely get the Mewtwo thing, though admittedly, Spawn is a character which I haven't really kept too much track of. I'm fairly certain I know the basics. I know there's some sort of psychotic clown involved, and some sort of devil deal. You couldn't tell I'm not exactly a big comics guy. Really only knowing the basics via osmosis, like that one infamous reference in Spider-Man Homecoming with him lifting up the rubble, which was taken from the comics. That was nice. And again, some of the satellite laser now level 2. Alright. Still have an hour left, but I think that's all 10 endings gotten. So, in that respect, yeah, that checks out. Alright then. Last story. At long last, we're finally here. Took longer than I was expecting, honestly. But, no use prevaricating about the bush. It's definitely been a long time since I played this. It's certainly going to be interesting. That same Fire in the Sky Festival newspaper from the start of the game. I'm fairly certain that was orange the last time I saw it.
Finally, I've got all the Chaos Emeralds.
Somehow, since none of the stories we just went through are canon. Yeah, I decided to do the Black Comet one last, since at the very least it's in the same setting. And it's a fairly neutral ending, even though it ends with Shadow unaliving Eggman, and he's still here. Hello. It's such a funny juxtaposition seeing them all just rush in, Sonic and the Technicolor Nightmare Squad. No! You don't say, the evil aliens.
From their own demise, we offer salvation.
What?
Their greed, thirst for power, and affinity for betrayal has them on a path of self-destruction.
Oh, this whole thing again. This world is imperfect, so I'm going to destroy it and rebuild it to be as beautiful as me. This nonsense again.
Perfect order, allowing them to live through their desperate lives in peace. Humans are a great energy source for
Again with this whole juxtaposition with his JRPG monologue just with all these pastel-colored cartoon characters. Alright, I'll be taking those. No use stopping me. Now here's the interesting thing. We had this whole ritual prosperity thing. Basically, we're gonna warp our comet down to the planet, in which the spores from our comet will mix with the atmosphere, creating a neurotoxin which will paralyze everyone. Okay. Why didn't they do this at any point aside from now, when arguably the Chaos Emeralds would have been easier to get, because you didn't have to worry about Blue Rat and his multicolor friends?
What was that? What just happened?
Those black creatures just warped the comet down to the surface using chaos control.
I have no idea how I know that.
It's impossible.
That's why you needed the Chaos Emeralds.
No.
precisely
We could have done this at any time, but we're only choosing to do it now.
powerful enough to pass through another planet's atmosphere. The emeralds amplified the space-time control powers of chaos.
But yeah, this is fine and all, but why?
We need them to charge to full power.
Yeah, the plan is fine. Why are you only doing this now?
Why I needed the professor to help.
I mean, did they really need Shadow? I mean, it's implied that they had the the glyphic ruins and sky troops. They had the temples built there like 2,000 years ago, so they're fine sending at least some of their troops down to the planet in order to build stuff. Why couldn't they have just gotten the Chaos Emeralds then? And just brought them back to the Black Comet and just used it to warp down to the planet whenever they need to eat stuff.
Deliver me the 7 Chaos Emeralds. That's how you were created, Shadow.
I may be missing something, but I don't see the reason why they needed Shadow for this at all.
Me? I can't believe it.
That can't be.
I mean, I guess having Shadow as sort of the sort of ultimate warrior puppet thing, able to use the Chaos Emeralds, is a nice little
Yeah.
bonus thing.
I'll crush that cosmic rock.
You know, we get the Chaos Emeralds, we eat all the humans, and we get this nice little thing on the side, but that only came about because of Gerald, who was 50 years ago, when they could have easily just gotten the Emeralds 2,000 years ago.
Absorbed into your bloodstream. In a moment,
I don't really get it.
paralysis will hit your nervous system. The end is near now.
I know it's one of those things where you're not supposed to think too hard about it, but you know me. I can't help it.
My dear offspring, eat and devour these savory dishes.
Oh yeah, and this is funny. So, at this point, all the characters are just here, paralyzed, being eaten. I'm sure this would look so much more dramatic and grotesque if we'd had better production value. Also, look at Tails. How is Tails still standing up? He should be falling over, just on his back, just completely immobile.
What?
I am Shadow the Hedgehog. I've left the past behind me. No one can tell me what to do now. I will destroy you, Black Doom.
Yes, I'll do basically the hero ending, except not really. Honest.
The irony of it all is I
They keep saying that particular line throughout this whole game, like
take it back.
Black Doom said it, Eggman said it.
Shadow.
Also, yeah, they're still being eaten. Yeah, they're just sort of stuck there, continuously being eaten, and here we are, the last way. It's been a long time since I played this particular level. I know the gimmick of it, at the very least. It's just going to be interesting. Also, I'm not going to question how there's dash rings in this particular level, and boost pads. So it is one of those things where I feel it would have been interesting and cool if they had, like, unique versions of different level things depending on where you were, like Eggman themed springs and dash panels, Black Arms themes dash panels, and the like. You know, just sort of adds a little bit of extra world building and detail to these particular games. Oh yeah, and the whole main gimmick of this this particular level is you need to build up chaos control in order to get past certain areas. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to sit here beating up all these infinitely spawning enemies until we can do this. Bye-bye. Also, yeah, we're back in 4x3 again. It's kind of a shame. I kind of want to stick with 4x3 for this and just put on the black and white filter. But, yeah, I think it's going to go at some point. I think once I pause. No. No, no, no!
Not here.
I could see death coming and it still didn't matter. Oh yeah, we also get Vault Worm sections in this, which is neat. I don't think I've actually ridden any of the Vault Worms in this level. Then again, I haven't exactly played this level a lot, so... new experiences all throughout. I will admit, in terms of how this level plays, it seems fairly... something about it seems rather undramatic compared to, say, Last Way or Final Haunt. I feel that this level is sort of missing something, like a filter or something, to make it seem a bit more climactic, for lack of a better word. Ooh, nice. I will admit I've very rarely heard the invincibility theme for this, and it just... there we go, aspect ratio's back. It just reminds me of that one scene from Nazo Unleashed, when Shadow goes off the handle and just blows up Nazo for little to no effect. And most of Angel Island, now that I think about it. Honestly, it's so weird after all this time finally getting Wrath of Nazo. Even if it's unfinished, it's just... it's something that I've heard about being in the making for like a decade now, and then only now we're getting it. Albeit incomplete, which... I'm not 100% certain about the circumstances behind Wrath of Nazo, but... my condolences nonetheless. So yeah. Yeah, I still love that scene, in all honesty. No, I'm not gonna bother with the katana. It's not particularly effective against all these worms. I also found it kind of weird that we just have, like, different flavors of worms. And different flavors of worm shooters. I suppose it's a nice detail, but at the same time, it's just... you have, like, 3 different versions of the same gun. It's also the same, like, the bazooka and the RPG. Yeah, it's one of those things, really, where... even back then, you could tell that the fans had a better idea of what they wanted from this series than most would. I'm not 100% certain whether or not with Frontiers we're going to be getting more stuff like that from the main games, though obviously the Titan fights are a good start. Honestly, I kind of want characters like Surge to appear in the games, mostly just so we can have more character-based fights. Like, imagine like a Frontiers version of, say, for example, a Virgil fight, or a Yzora fight, or a Jetstream Sam fight. I know a lot of people will be on board for that, whether that be against Shadow, whether that be against Knuckles, or Surge, or Metal Sonic, or a new character entirely. Oh, Level disappeared for a minute there. Alright, this particular section is definitely going to be interesting. Somehow I made that first try. Also, this level seems to be going on a fair bit, I just noticed. We might actually be strapped for time here. I'm hoping we're reaching the end soon enough. Bing, bing. Get out of here. Get out of here. Guess we just gotta wait for... oh, hello. Spooked me for a second there. Yeah, just gotta wait for it to build up. I gotta say, though, I kind of like how expansive this whole section feels. It looks like there's just all these different holes and such. No idea what they're for, but it looks cool. Well, obviously, we're not going to get any details with regards to how the inner workings of the Black Comet work, since, well, reasons which will become more apparent as we move on with the rest of the level and the last story. Come on. I gotta admit, that's kind of concerning, just all of these giants just rushing towards you. I think we're reaching the end. There we go. You've arrived at my brain.
Prepare yourself, Black.
That's a cool JPEG. Wait, you get a rank for this? Huh. From what I remember, you always used to just get, you always just used to just proceed to the cutscene. It's kind of interesting, actually.
Well done, Shadow. You've gone farther than I expected. I'm impressed. But you still don't understand, do you? The future we offer is the only option for these humans.
I knew you'd be spouting nonsense from the first time I set eyes on you.
Black Doom, you're going down.
It's like Stranger of Paradise mirrors that particular scene so much better with its dialogue.
Different from the rest.
In fact, a lot of stuff in Stranger of Paradise. I really want to get into that game at this point, honestly. I mean, I've got it downloaded, I haven't played it yet. Just been busy with other stuff. Oh. Psychic attack!
Don't you know? You were created from my blood.
What?
That's right.
Which would also explain why Shadow was able to resist the neurotoxin, so... How come Doom wasn't able to predict that Shadow would be able to resist the effects of the neurotoxin?
Damn you! No, it's not true.
Nuh-uh. The hell do you mean, nuh-uh? And meanwhile, they finally found the computer room.
Are you in yet?
Quiet, Charmy! Espio, we need you to focus, because if we don't hurry, all the data we recovered will be lost!
Easier said than done.
We should have brought some more floppy disks, or whatever one of those DC ROMs are.
Back here, you idiot!
Imagine if it just re-triggered Gerald's like death wish from Adventure 2. I plan to give you a taste of my revenge.
Shadow, my son.
I have no idea how this is being broadcast aboard the Black Comet. Where did these screens come from?
You need to know the
But yeah, we're just here to explain the plot to you. Also, I feel my loss of despair, all that good stuff. It's gonna be crazy looking back at this when you go back and play Adventure 2, huh?
our research and imprison all who know about you. I made a terrible mistake, Shadow.
So yeah, it's implied here that Gunn shut down the Ark because they found out about Gerald's little devil deal with Doom, which I suppose is a fine enough explanation, though ignoring any of the particular stuff that Gerald did with the gizzard. Also, they're still being eaten! Tells them should be missing a leg by now. Little pipe cleaner leg. They're literally just standing there, just pulsating, when they should...
That's it! It's brilliant!
Sonic should be missing a hand. Knuckles should be down to his torso. They're all just sort of... I know it's a graphic sort of visual, but it did say they were being eaten. Could have at the very least sort of like had the larvae grow bigger so we had more like a light-like situation from Zelda. That way we had... it was justified that, yeah, they were being eaten.
The future of this planet depends on you.
Don't worry, Grandfather. Shadow and I will protect this planet. Right, Shadow?
All around me are familiar faces.
Shadow is already in my
Worn out places. Worn out places.
Well. Seems like you're immune to my
control over me, Black Doom. I now understand why I am here. I made a promise and I'm here to keep it. Today, I put my past behind me.
That's two completely conflicting things. Yes, I'm gonna respect the past by maintaining my promise to Maria. I'm also gonna throw away the past and let it die. Make up your mind, Shadow.
Maker, your past, present, and future ends here.
Oh, in any case, it's time for the reason why we're here.
Say goodbye, Shadow, as you witness my true wrath.
Or I could just stay in here where it's comfy and safe. Alright. Oh, he's doing his little hand things again from Adventure 2. At least he's not doing them the same way he did in that game with his hand gestures, although it did a little bit. Yeah, I suppose you could say that about Shadow's family tree. I still find it funny that Shadow is technically Eggman's uncle. Alright. Let's do this. Let's do the Doom. Gotta remember how exactly this fight goes. I think you have to charge it up. Come on, charge. I wonder if we'll be in this fight long enough to actually hear Eggman say that Shadow isn't an android, because that's a whole thing. We go the whole game trying to figure out whether or not Shadow is an android or not, and we only get it like 10 minutes into this fight, when no one is going to be able to hear it. Ow. Bam! At least you get plenty of rings for this, from what I recall. Bam, 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 bam. It's kind of weird that you don't get an option to actually use Chaos Spear at all in this game. I suppose the closest thing is the Shadow Rifle, but... Come on, charge it up. There we go. Bam! Also, as far as I'm aware, there's not really much of a reason to actually use Chaos Control in this. Actually, you know what? Let's do it. Let's see what it does.
Shadow, open your eyes. Realize that sympathizing with these has all been a mistake.
Bab, 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 bab. I remember a video actually trying to explain that Shadow in Chaos Control here with the negative colors was methless, and the same sort of logic of someone in Adventure DX saying that Sonic, instead of the fires of the Altar of the Emerald, was supposed to be Mighty the Armadillo. You know, those sort of old internet rumors which didn't actually make any sense. It had no real credit to them. Also, at this point, everyone in... Apparently they said at the beginning of this fight that everyone somehow managed to get off the comet, which they couldn't move. How? Also, I am running out of rings, I just noticed. Suppose at the very least... Oh, there's some rings. Give me rings, give me rings. I'm gonna need them in order to proceed in this fight. Oh no, your eyes are gone. Oh, just shoot. I'm hoping at the very least this won't be another Black Dragon situation where this fight just goes on forever. I mean, I suppose at the very least there isn't as big of a wait between intervals. It's more just sort of getting the timing down, I suppose. Bam! There we go. Halfway through, I think.
I seem to have underestimated the true power.
So... I'm a little confused a little bit about what Double Doom is supposed to be. Is he supposed to be like Black Doom's super form? Or is it more just sort of Black Doom's true form? Like, this is him at 100% power. But is he using the emeralds at all, or is it just he left them with Shadow like a buffoon? Oh wait, we actually get the dialogue about Shadow not being an android. They actually push it ahead a little bit so you'd actually have a chance to hear it. Which didn't take 9 minutes. Also, I'm about to run out of rings. Please. 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 Rings! I need rings! Oh. Alright. At least we know how the fight goes now. It's just a matter of actually getting the thing to connect. Please stop throwing those buildings at me. Yeah, Black Doom's true form. I like that his eye is actually incorporated into the design, though still a little bit confused as to why he just left Shadow the Emeralds in order to fight him. Okay, I don't think you can get too close to him. Suppose I'm gonna hang around here a little bit and try to grab as many rings as possible. I suppose this is a pretty cool setting, actually, just sort of fighting above the ruins of the city. Whilst I Am All Me just blares in the background. We'll say, this is definitely a better final boss fight than in Superstars. Though that isn't exactly a high bar to set. Don't talk to me about opening my eyes. You look up to the skies and see. This is clearly the work of a villain. Oh. Yeah, they somehow managed to get to a shelter, yet previously they weren't able to move? Question mark. Okay, so the main thing here is you just sort of hang around the outside to pick up rings, I think. If I can find... Oh yeah, we get Chaos Blast as well, which is nice. Urgh! You don't scare me! Oh, that's a lot of damage. That's always nice to see. Yeah, but with regards to people regarding Shadow, I can't help but wonder whether or not Shadow generations will end up invalidating Shadow in various ways, because obviously the whole story aspect of this thing is a disconjointed mess, where only the first cutscene and the last story matter at all. So I can't help but wonder whether or not the Shadow Generations is going to just be a replacement for this game in terms of story. In fact, I can kind of see them doing that a fair bit with certain games. Like, I could imagine them sort of putting out a game which essentially retcons a lot of stuff in Rush. In just sort of a vain attempt to try and make the timeline as his try to match up a little bit better. Since obviously most of these games aren't going to be coming to modern consoles at any point soon. I don't see them doing a modern port of this game, let's just say. Or potentially the Rush games, even though I know a lot of people would like to see a Rush collection, or more just sort of the other portable games getting some sort of recognition. Also, there are worryingly few rings about, I've just noticed. We might be in trouble. Also, he is literally blindly swinging at me. I also find it weird that his arms technically have are technically just omni-hinged, so they go both forwards and backwards. Okay, I think we got this. Just gotta potentially fish around for some more rings. Still worryingly few rings about, I've noticed. Guess they just sort of expect you to go all in blowing stuff up. At least there is still an impetus to blow up the buildings in this. It's like, this fight mechanics-wise is actually kind of well designed. It's just, not all that great at it. Hold still, you devil. Yeah, I think we might be about to lose this in a little bit. Hold on. Get in there. This should do it. Yes! It's over!
That rules this universe. I am the immortal life form. I am the ultimate.
He just falls to the ground like that. I will admit the way he falls is kind of funny to me.
This is the end of you, and the end to my cursed past.
Stay where you belong, in my memories.
Only one thing left to do.
I'm sorry, it's just that particular image alone has just been associated with so many memes. Now draw her buying Wonder Bread. Oh, hey John, we were just coming to the end of the last story. Watching as Shadow finally puts us to rest with another super duper laser. Yeah, he does look pretty great, doesn't he? That particular render of Super Shadow, even before all the memes, has stuck it out to me for all these years. And we somehow haven't been eaten still.
Sweet. I hope he's okay.
I'm sure he's fine, Rouge. After all, he is Shadow.
Weirdly enough, in the Japanese version, Amy Vera says that Shadow is straight up immortal, which, I mean, he technically is, but how would Amy know about that? I mean, I guess you could argue they all read through the Gerald files, but that line in particular feels weird coming from Amy. Let's just say that. And this is the last time we'll ever see these characters again.
After the way we all treated him, he saved us all in the end. We were all wrong about the professor.
I mean, he still did try to destroy the planet by dropping the Ark on us, but yeah, I guess ends justify the means and all that. You can't.
For a brighter future. What do you say, Commander? Excellent idea.
It really is like they completely forgot he tried to wipe out the planet in Adventure 2. I will admit I also quite like this scene a fair bit. Very, very somber.
Goodbye forever, Shadow the Hedgehog.
It's supposed to be sayonara. That's one thing that did admittedly annoy me about that particular scene. Walk into my mystery, so step inside and hold on for dear life. Do you remember me? capture you and set you free. Oh, I am all of me. I couldn't help doing that, but yeah, that's one thing that annoyed me about that ending. In the Japanese, it's consistent with Adventure 2, where the last words are "Adios, Shadow the Hedgehog," which is what they say in Japanese. Obviously, in Adventure 2, they changed it to Sayonara, but for some reason, they didn't go with Sayonara in this game, which I feel would have been a perfect way to book close this particular arc. Goodbye Forever, while it's more obvious, it just doesn't hit as hard, I'd say. Alright, take your time. So yeah. Again, I will admit, I'm not entirely certain whether or not it was just because I was playing Reloaded. Obviously, if you're planning on going back and playing this game on PC, because of course I don't expect most of you to just go out and get yourself a GameCube and a copy of this just to play it. I mean, I suppose you can do that, but obviously with what I've been using this whole time for this particular ROM hack, it's definitely more accessible. I would, at the very least, recommend giving this a try. Maybe to your liking, maybe not if you're a bit more casual-like, but generally I'd say, well, it's still definitely jank here and there, like, especially with the melee weapons. I like what they were going for with them, with the increased melee speed, but it is notably jank. Oh, no, yep, he was in development support, so I guess they at least consulted him. Whether or not he was 100% okay with the narrative choices they went for with Shadow in this game, I personally can't say, and whilst in the past I would have been all for speaking for him and saying that this was sort of an affront to what he did in Adventure 2, now I kinda can't help but feel as though I want to see what his outlook on this game was, since this was his baby. And it did ultimately, especially with the ridiculous concept, kind of tank the reputation of his baby for the longest time. At least in the more casual sphere outside the hardcore fan base. You still remember how good he was. Well, I will admit, on a side note, I remember him saying that after 06, in terms of story-wise, he did have an idea of wanting Shadow to basically, you know, he's made his promise to Maria and saving the planet from the Black Arms and such. And protecting the planet, you know, Sonic's got everything mostly down pat, so, you know, potentially the whole idea was him basically going back into another cryopod and basically going back to sleep until a time when he was needed, which honestly I could potentially see branching off into like a fun little side series. So like a Mega Man Zero type affair where, you know, he wakes up 200 years in the future, and we could potentially have a setting with Shadow in it, potentially more mature story themes, and a setting that can have Silver in it, which actually makes sense. Because obviously the whole time travel aspect... There we go. Unlock the Shadow Rifle. I kind of want to showcase that. Expert mode unlocked. That's gonna... I'm gonna wait for next stream to do that, though. Not 100% certain as to how exactly that will go. There it is. Expert mode. And we didn't have to play Lost Impact to do any of that, which is certainly a relief to me. Let's do the Black Bolt thing again. Let's do it. Let's try out the Shadow Rifle, since it is supposedly, at the very least, the best gun in the game, outside of the Gats. So I had to go with this level in particular because, of course, I said earlier I wanted to showcase the Vault Worm. And honestly, I have no idea as to how long the expert mode is going to last, since it is pretty tough from what I recall. You know, for this we'll do the hero mode. We haven't done the hero mode yet, so... Yeah, the big thing about this is that it kills basically everything in one hit. It's just basically an enemy delete button, which is nice. And it's one of those things which makes wiping out hordes of enemies all the more easier, which... especially when going for A ranks and such, is notably quite helpful. Like, bam. Bang. It's like there's no reason for you to ever use another gun. Which is a shame, because I did still enjoy the katana, the reworked katana. Bang, 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 bang. I'm fairly certain the number of aliens you actually have to wipe out in this level is unchanged. Still, I suppose this weapon is also nice, so you don't have to worry as much about friendly fire. Get out of here, Doom. I'm not talking to you, Dad. Oh yeah, and it's even better once you unlock Hero Shadow, because then you can just go wild. Anyways, I started blasting. I started blasting. Look, I said the thing. Oh wow, one of the spawns was actually just eating that guy, I just noticed. Not sure you noticed on the stream, but it is a nice little detail, I will say. Also, what exactly is that alien model actually... I think the model they use for the black arms there, on the hero modes, I think that's actually supposed to be a giant. Shadow Rifle's as good as ever. I do imagine if they were to give Shadow a weapon again, it would probably be this one, as it is. It is designed well enough to not be sort of reminiscent of just an actual firearm. Also, for some... Okay, I think that was just what was in that crate. So yeah, Vault Worm section in Glyphic Canyon. I made an effort to want to showcase this, and now's the chance to do so. Quite useful if you're going for the hero mission here, I should say. Or if you get to fly through a tornado, that's pretty neat. Bang, bang, bang. I'm not even sure I'm going to be hitting any of these, it's just cool to do. I will say though, it was really quite cool when I found out this for the first time, when I got all the keys. The fact that you can actually get a Vault Worm to this level, I always thought was just so cool. Since the Vault Worm is arguably the most fun vehicle in this game, it's just flying and shooting. You can tell it's good because it had a whole level based around it with the arc. Also like this little setup here with all the loops. Feels like it would have been pretty cool to actually run across, especially since it's inverted. I imagine sort of pathing this would have been a nightmare though. It does certainly look cool though. Oh yeah, I think we're coming up to the end now, and okay, so that's how you unlock that red ring. That's pretty cool. That's a interesting little detail. I love that little line. I never even noticed that particular line from Knuckles, where he's just like, oh, guns after you. Good luck. That actually feels kind of in line with Knuckles, actually. It's so weird, because I don't expect all the characters to be sort of as on point as they are in this game. I just sort of expected them to be more so glorified background extra, but they actually have little fun character moments here, which I can't help but sort of appreciate a little. Wow, that was quick. obviously, it's not exactly
Their oppression cannot go unopposed.
the pinnacle of Sonic writing. It is still Shadow the Hedgehog, but I will admit I've been having a bit more fun than this than I would have originally remembered. Yep, pretty much. Well, I think, ultimately, that's everything I wanted to showcase in this game. With the exception of Expert Mode, which obviously I haven't played. And thankfully I haven't had the need to do Lost Impact either, which is a plus. So, may as well have a look through what else this game has to offer. Obviously we have all these different stuff. All these various different music tracks which we've now unlocked. Like we've got Double Doom, which I think is just... Actually, is I Am even... Yeah, it is, so I guess it's just sort of the extended version of I Am All of Me. Got all these event stuff, we got main menu, we got options, and of course we got... Never Turn Back, that was the one. This just reminds me of Nazo Unleashed again. When they're about to do the fusion thing. It never really occurred to me until when I was a lot older that Nazo Unleashed, plot-wise, is literally just the end of Dragon Ball GT. Like, you got, you know, the negative energy of the Chaos Emeralds, which is the same as the negative energy of the Dragon Balls, so basically Nazo was effectively a stand-in for Sin Shenron and by extension Omega Shenron. And then it ends with an upgraded fused form of the two main superpowered protagonists going up against the main villain. Like, you got Shadnik, which I always thought Shadnik was a better name. And you have Gogeta. Wait, was it just the piano? I think it just was. They didn't put Never Turn Back on this particular thing. That's a shame. Again, in the options, we got nothing really of note. Subtitle language. I don't think that this game allows you to change the vocal languages, which is a shame. Actually, let's just put that on, see what happens. I made a terrible mistake. Now it's like I'm playing Shadow the Hedgehog Final Mix. Yeah, unfortunately, given what I don't exactly have a second player controller for this, so we can't really go into the multiplayer menu. Any particular things you wanted me to showcase before signing off? Honestly, aside from potentially playing through Lost Impact, I think that's pretty much it. That being said, I don't think I showcased Death Ruins at all in this playthrough, so we may as well have a little run through that. A little run through the jungle, as it were. Showcase more of the Shadow Rifle, and finally showcase this particular level, which I previously never got a chance to. It really is another indication, really, this particular level, of how sort of disjointed the hero story in particular was. It's like, yeah, we've managed to run the aliens back into the jungles outside all the major cities. Yeah, I'm planning to do expert mode next stream. See how I fare with that. I haven't exactly had any prior experience to expert mode, so this will sort of be my first time. I'm expecting a lot of deaths. I'm just going to put it that way. Because, honestly, the unlock requirements for the expert modes in this game were kind of crazy. Like, all A ranks in all these levels, which weren't exactly the most fun to play. At least compared to Adventure 2. It's like, At least in Adventure 2, the levels were smaller, so it was a bit more manageable to A-rank all of them.
There's still more to go. Don't get overconfident.
And yeah, Expert Mode is going to be the last thing I do for this game. I'll just put that out of the way.
Behold the ultimate power.
I can't remember whether or not the black arms count in this particular level is decreased at all. Also, I don't think the voices have changed at all. Oh. Again with that. And now I don't have my shadow rifle and everything's all gone. Oh no. I'll take the submachine gun. That's a shame as well, because I was doing so well. I'm not sure whether or not we actually get to hear the Mr. Yuji Naka line, which, after all this time, just feels even more funny to me. Also, did that guy just kick me? Did I just get kicked? I gotta say though, aesthetic-wise, this whole level, despite the gritty nature, I do quite like it though. Main thing I remember from this level is the entirely disjointed cutscene which follows afterwards with the boss, which really sort of goes to emphasize the issues with the writing in this game, because one thing Black Doom is led to assume that Shadow is still on his side despite opposing him at every given step. And it's like, oh yeah, Shadow, rest up. You need to be ready for Ritual Prosperity, and just 6 Black Bull on him again. For some reason. That whole cutscene is so borked. Oh yeah, we've already cleared out most of this level, haven't we? So that was Death Ruins. A bit of a just a sort of average level, I'd say.
I won't let you.
Nothing really to write home about. It's just I love the level of all time in a game which has levels ranging from amazing like Sky Troops, Lava Shelter, Final Haunt, to levels like Central City, Mad Matrix, The Doom, and Lost Impact. Yeah, I think I'm just sort of treading water here. I've done everything I wanted to do. And I didn't have to play Lost Impact at all, which again is a blessing. So, that's gonna do it for me. We'll likely see Lost Impact next time when we do Expert Mode, but until then, I'll see you then. Take care. Bye-bye.